Hello, I'm Chris Solo, and welcome to the Fabled 42, where we build community through friendship, gaming, and chaos. We are here with quests and answers, where we go on the quest to find your answers. We are doing the Ranger class in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. And a very special guest here today is Linsay.
Hey guys. Linsay Rousseau. You can find me on social media at Linsay Rousseau with no D. And you can catch me Mondays in Legends of Shalgal and every other Sunday in Adventures in Middle Earth. And then also, obviously, the rollout every Wednesday.
Awesome. Very happy to have you here as one of our resident Rangers, and that's what we're talking about today, is the Ranger class. So let's just start off at the top. So when you choose your Ranger class, what's the first thing that you look at?
Yeah, so actually, Ranger was the very first class I ever played in Dungeons and Dragons because who doesn't want to be like Turiel or Legolas or whatever,
Yeah.
which was always very exciting to me, and I loved the connection with nature. Um, I've always, point of order, I've always played archery ranger. I've actually never done the 2-up and fighting ranger, even though it can be pretty good. I prefer the archery build. I
Yeah.
just think it's the natural way to do it with rangers. They do get a lot of hate sometimes because, it's like, oh, they're not as effective as the other classes and blah, blah, blah. But I think Tasha really helped remedy
Yes.
a lot of that with the most recent subclasses that we got for them. Obviously, Hunter is kind of the bread and butter of the Ranger. Like, that's like, if you are a new player wanting to play a Ranger, then Hunter's the most customizable, pretty easy way to go. But I have to admit, like, the Gloomstalker race or subclass, I have been playing that in a campaign lately, and it can do some serious damage.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I'm building it, I'm going to pick a race that's got dark vision
Yeah.
because that just goes really well with the ranger class. I'm also going to pick a race that has high dex, if it's got a dex bonus as well, because you know you are going to be, again, if you're doing archery class, you are going to be out in the back usually, so being
Yeah.
able to hide, being able to get places very quickly. You might look at races that also have maybe some added walking speed, because that can also help as well if you're trying to get places quickly.
Awesome. Yeah. So you know, you're wearing her shirt. So Rana was one of your maybe first ranger you played on the network. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the very first character I played on
Yeah.
this network. She was a homebrew race, which was actually created to essentially make her a better ranger because rangers already have like a connection to
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
That's where their spells are mostly focused. So for Rana's for her custom race, we essentially brought in a few druid elements to make her even more nature centric, since that's how I built the character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved Rana. I miss her so much. I hope she can come back at some point, because yeah, I had a lot of fun playing her.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely wanted to bring back the maybe not the same origin crew because that storyline kind of stopped and
Right.
tapered off because some people were just like done. Not like the people, but the actual characters were like, I'm gonna
Right.
retire
I mean, we
kind of thing.
definitely
Yeah.
closed out some stories.
But
Yeah.
we have so many other storylines that are still active, so it would be kind of fun to do a origin esque one shot. Maybe like what I do normally do is I tie in lore, right? So like Origins ended with the reveal of Riha being created, which then tied into realms and all that. So
Right.
I think there's a lot of fun things that we could do to tie that in. But yeah, I mean, you're the way that you played the ranger was definitely different, and then the custom race definitely helped balance the type of
Mhm.
ranger you were playing to be in a better contention with the rest of the party.
Yeah.
So
I mean, because
yeah,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Oh, I was gonna say, because yeah, the thing with rangers is like you're not gonna have like the sneakiness with sneak attack as rogues. You don't have necessarily the fighting prowess as a fighter. You don't have this the stamina as a
Yeah,
barbarian, which is why like when I play my rangers, I like to play them as the people that can be like attacking from the shadows. And if anyone watched Origins, like I was in a tree, I swear, every campaign. Like every episode I ended up in a tree because a lot of the feats that rangers have, like you can essentially become invisible in nature, and I would use that to my advantage. Like I literally would be in a tree and I would pop out and shoot and go back, and the creature would look and couldn't see me because I can essentially become
Absolutely.
invisible
Yeah.
in nature. And then I think some people really underestimate the the benefits of being able to communicate with plants and animals, because I think I was always making ability checks like, I want to talk to this plant, I want to talk to this
Yeah.
animal, to try and get recon information and, you know, learn about the area and things like that, which, I mean, druids can do that obviously as well, but I think
Yeah.
that's something that rangers can do really well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. Uh, it's just interesting, like just so many new options that they're bringing into
Yeah.
rangers. I don't know what's Tasha's and what's not, but there's a Fey Wanderer now.
Yeah, that's Tasha's. The Swarm Keeper is a Tasha. Now those were so Swarm Keeper and Gloomstalker and stuff. Those were available in beta version if anyone has D&D Beyond
Yes.
before Tasha came out. So I actually did play test the Swarm Keeper in a game. God, like
I see that one now.
COVID, and you know, they all I mean, that one's kind of fun because you're like, you know, create this swarm of fey creatures that surround all of my weapons and add extra damage, which is kind of fun to play with. And you know, you're a ranger surrounded by like 50 little fey creatures.
Yeah. I mean, they have a lot of really fun options I've never explored before, like you know, all the Tasha ones, right? The Swarm Keeper, Monster Slayer was there before.
That was there before.
Horizon Walker.
That's
you know?
new, and the Gloomstalker is new. And and like I said, I'm playing Gloomstalker right now in another campaign, and some of those features, like essentially, it's making it so you can essentially be the first one on initiative. So you know, you're adding your wisdom modifier from Dead Ambusher, so you're adding that to your initiative. You get an extra attack on your initiative that adds an extra d8. So if you're pairing, you know, you've got extra attack, so you've got Dead Ambusher, that, and it gives you extra movement for that first. So it's like you've got 3 attacks that first one. If you pair that, say, with an oath bow, like if you're fighting a big baddie, if you've got your oath bow with Dead Ambusher and you say pick up sharpshooter as a feat, you can do some serious damage in that first round. Like we had a giant squid jump on our ship and I literally fired 3 arrows at it and obliterated it, and the DM was like, well, that encounter did not go as long as I thought it was going to.
It's always fun when we do that.
And the other thing is like, you know, with Landstride, it's like, you know, we're in an Arctic region, and between the Arctic being my favorite, you know, my favorite landscape, and then having Landstride, I'm essentially just like waltzing through the Arctic with no disadvantage whatsoever.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was sitting here scanning through D&D Beyond and looking at these new subclasses and stuff for Ranger, and there's actually a new one that I've never seen before. It's called Drake Warden, and it's a UA.
Yeah, that one I haven't looked at because it is UA. Yeah,
I mean, it's just kind of fun that they're just coming up with other things. So you have a small Drake companion, and it levels with you, which is kind of cool.
I think part of the reason, I mean, obviously all the classes got additions with Tasha, but you know, over the past couple years, since 5e has come out, a lot of people have really shit on the Ranger and been like, oh, it's the weakest of all the classes. It doesn't level very well. And I think they were trying to balance that with some of these new subclasses.
Yeah, they kind of have to, because in theory, if you're going to be a ranged attacker, you're better off being a dex-based fighter than you are a Ranger. Because you get way more attacks.
Or a
and
spellcaster, if you're going to be. Because like the Ranger spells aren't, you know, most of them are concentration based. So it's like, oh, I do Hunter's Mark. Oh, but now I want to do Spike Growth. Oh, and I lost Hunter's Mark. And
But I mean, I think they're doing a good job with balancing it out.
Yeah, definitely.
So when choosing when choosing the Ranger class, and you know, you have different characteristics and things that you're looking for, right? So like if you want to have an animal companion, then you go Beastmaster, right? If you're wanting to go, you know, more on the magic side, then you go this way. So I know you've played several different you know, Ranger classes, but what are some of the other favorite things that you like, regardless of the class? So, you know, are you liking the ability to use some magic and other things? Or you know, what's one of some of your favorite characteristics of being a Ranger?
Yeah, I mean, because I, in general, never play spellcasters. Like spellcasting hurts my brain. Like I have a really bad memory. So like trying to keep track of like all the spells and what they do and the order in which I should do them, it's very stressful to me. I'm trying to break out of my shell. I'm going to start playing a warlock soon in another game. But
It's awesome.
the thing I like about the ranger is it's like, yes, they are a spellcaster, but you're not like having to deal with, you know, like the wizard spell list, like all of those. And, you know, a lot of the spells that you can do as rangers can really help on the RP side of things, you know, and they can also help a lot with like AoE stuff. It's like, okay, we're setting up camp here and I'm just going to do spike growth around all of us and it's camouflaged so baddies can't see us. And there's no skill check for it. As soon as they step foot in that, they're automatically taking damage every 5 feet they move.
I like that. Yeah.
So that's kind of really handy. And then things like, you know, Hunter's Mark, it's like, okay, I'm just going to automatically add an additional D6 to whatever damage I do to you. And it's a bonus. And I think the other thing is a lot of ranger spells can be done as bonus actions, which other spellcasters can't do as much, which is really helpful.
Yeah, because you bonus action do a spell and then you take a shot. Yeah.
Exactly. So bonus action Hunter's Mark, and then I killed that guy, so the next turn bonus action move Hunter's Mark, and then, you know, things like you know, being able to do like spike growth or, you know, wrap vines around people, and then not having to deal with such a huge spell list as some of the other people, which you know, for people who love playing spellcasters, that might not appeal to them.
Of course.
So yeah.
And you're a bow. You prefer bow, not crossbows, right? Is there a reason why?
Actually, right now I'm balancing between both a crossbow and a bow. If you can get the oath bow, it can do some serious damage. You know, the only issue is, so like you can target a big baddie, it stays with it until it's dead. But you can bonus action move it to something else, but not until dawn. So while you have it activated, it's great. So if you can get some like +1 arrows or +2 arrows, you can do some real damage. Crossbow as well. But then it comes down to like, okay, am I wanting to do ASI or am I wanting to take feats? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take the sharpshooter feat because that gives me a +10 to damage, which is huge. Yeah. Or if I'm going to do mostly, and that does apply to crossbows.
Yeah.
So it's like bow or crossbow. Whereas like, okay, I'm going to take the crossbow feat, but that's only going to apply to crossbows. Yeah. So some of it's situational, and I guess also working with your DM, like what type of equipment are they going to allow you to have? Yeah. To see which works better. You know, are you going to make reloading an action, a bonus action? Is that going to have to be a thing as well?
That greatly changes your play style, because like who wants to sit there and waste a turn to reload a damn crossbow?
Exactly. And it's like, okay, am I going to have disadvantage if I'm shooting, you know, at close range? You know, because like with sharpshooter, it's like you can do you don't get disadvantage and you don't have to deal with partial coverage. You can shoot through that and things like that.
Yeah, you know, I'm always curious on how DMs call that, because like a bow, it makes sense because a bow builds its velocity as it flies through the air. So if you're shooting at point blank, it's not going to go through anybody. But a crossbow is pushed. That point blank should not do anything. You're taking it to the chest. Like,
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that, I think that comes down to party buildup, I feel like. So if your party doesn't have a lot of ranged people, then take that bow, get way in the back, maybe take the sharpshooter feat, because then you can shoot things that are in half cover or 3/4 cover without disadvantage. Yeah. And you get that +10. But if you've got a lot of ranged, say, spellcasters, and you do need to be closer up, then maybe you do want to take a +1 crossbow or something, so you can shoot up close and personal and not take that disadvantage.
You know, it's kind of funny because one of the builds of of my ridiculous amount of characters that I've made is, you've seen Three Musketeers, right? The one with Charlie Sheen.
TV show?
No, the movie.
Oh, the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember Porthos the pirate? You know, he's a big guy and he's fighting things, but then he has that little dinky crossbow. Like, I wanted to build a ranger like that with a hand crossbow and a sword.
Well, I mean, you have 2-weapon fighting, so.
But that's just one of the fun guys I made, where he just meddles with trinkets and stuff, but he's got a little crossbow. That's his ranged attack.
My gosh, I love that. I think that would be really fun to play with. Yeah. I think that would be really fun to play with. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of the different characteristics and things. So there's you talked about feats. So like moving into feats other than sharpshooter or crossbow expert or whatever. What are some other feats? Like alert or anything like that works really well with rangers.
I mean, honestly, like crossbow and sharpshooter are really, I think, the two that are the best. I mean, you could look at something, like Sentinel, if say you're a Beastmaster, because, you will have that beast with you,
Yeah.
to help you capitalize on that. Obviously things like luck, something that, if you do decide, well, like you were just talking about your sword and crossbow, like you could take like dual wielder or something. Or if you're doing the 2-weapon fighting ranger as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like a lot of feats are just kind of pointless on rangers, except for like the sharpshooter and the crossbow expert.
Yeah. I agree. And then going a little bit like further with your character development, and we talked about like how you pick and why you pick each of the different subclasses, and you pick the feats and all those things. But now, nailing down like equipment. So
yeah,
aside from bow or crossbow, then you're going with what swords do you use, or axes or armor that you would normally pick?
So, because like you are going to have those instances probably where you are in melee range and now it's like, okay, I can't use my bow, or I chose not to be a crossbow wielder. So, the ranger is proficient in martial weapons and finesse weapons. So, I mean, get yourself a rapier or a +1 rapier if you can get it. And then, you still got a decent, damage modifier to be able to use because you are proficient in those types of skills. So that's very much something you can do. I mean, as far as equipment, obviously you aren't wanting to do anything to damage your stuff, your dex, because stealth and acrobatics, any dex-based skill is the bread and butter of the ranger. So, at the basic level, studded leather, of course. And then if you can get better studded leather, I mean, that's what you're going to be dealing with through most of this. Or, I mean, I guess you could take like adamantium armor, because there's no, except that, no, you're not, oh, you are proficient in medium armor. So yeah, you could take like the adamantium armor, which doesn't affect your dex or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then there's some real fun things that we like when we were playing with Rana that we found in D&D Beyond. It's like, ooh, arrows of slaying that you can like, it's proficient with like the dragon, or the blazing bowstring I know we found, which was really fun to play with. So there's some things you can add, and then of course there's like the bracers of archery and like the efficient quiver that lets you have as many arrows as you want. So if you're not having, and you can get +1 arrows, +2 arrows, things like that.
Yeah. And we never really got there with Rana. But if you ever think about, or have you done any multi-classing with rangers? So did you ever add
not with
levels
rangers,
in rogue or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. From a lot of the research that I've done, it seems like maybe like a fighter wouldn't be like, especially if you're going to do like, say, the 2-weapon fighting ranger, a fighter might not be a bad thing to do because you've got the dex for the ranger, but then the strength for the fighter. Cleric is also an interesting thing if you go like nature cleric, because that gives you heavy armor proficiency, and it also gives you like some druid cantrips, which we kind of fixed by giving Rana some racial cantrips. But that gives you heavy armor proficiency. So if you are wanting to be a beefier ranger, but still keep that dex, the dex advantages, that could be something you could do. I mean, that might be more of a party build-up thing, or, an RP thing, like how you want to play that.
Great. Well, we have 30 seconds left. So in the last 30 seconds, what is your favorite subclass of rangers and why? In 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I am now gonna have to say Gloomstalker is my new favorite ranger subclass, because, like I said, Dead Ambusher is amazing. You get in there, you get those extra attacks. You also have Iron Mind, which gives you proficiency on wisdom throws. and it also, wisdom saving throws. If you don't have proficiency in intelligence or charisma, you get proficiency in those. It gives you landstride on top of being able to have favored terrains, which means you can move through pretty much anything. And it does give you some spells. So it gives you rope trick, which I've actually used. I was like, oh, this is a big creature I can't fight. I'm going to go up into the scheme. And it gives you fear. So, again, one of those concentration based spells. And it's like, oh gosh, okay, a lot of creatures here. I'm just going to make something big and scary that they're afraid of. And again, it gives you extra dark vision. So if you do take a race that's got dark vision, you get an additional 30 on top of that. Or if you're a race that doesn't have dark vision, you get 60 feet of it, so you don't have to burn a spell slot for dark vision.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You always get dark vision. Why would you not get dark vision?
I know, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Linsay, for this Ranger talk. Where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at Fable42. You can find me here too. You can find me at Linsay Rousseau, no D, Lansay. It's on the screen. So,
well, thank you very much. And as always, if you guys enjoy what you see, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below. You can find me in all the social medias at DM Chris Solo. This is Quests and Answers, where we go on the quest to find your answers. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.